Welcome back to the Mid-Year Mitch YouTube channel. In today's episode, we're doing an in-depth dive on how you install Corvette body rivets, aluminum rivets that hold nut plates and bonding strips to your Corvette. So be sure to stick around. In the past, I've done some of these videos where I've brushed over this quickly, just through a time lapse, because this is a pretty quick process, but I figured now let's break it down. It's been some time since we've done it. Let's do a rivet refresher and go through some of the rivets that are in the body of a Corvette, not the chassis. Those are a different type of rivet that can be in a separate video, but this is just the body rivets. In the past several videos, I've been working to restore the body on this 65 Corvette. We started with a Roadster Shop chassis, did some steel work to the bird cage, and now we're skinning it in fiberglass. And I've seen a lot of comments recently asking about different types of body rivets. How do you use them? What do you use? What are replacements? What are your recommendations? There are many different types that are used around the car to hold bonding strips to the car, as well as other fiberglass panels to the steel. They didn't directly attach fiberglass to steel with an adhesive. They used a mechanical bond with rivets. Over here I have all the rivets lined up, both the original C2 rivets as well as some of the service replacements that you can use, all lined up here. Now C1 and C3 Corvettes could use different rivets, but these are the rivets that I'm most familiar with. So starting off with this, we have our 3/16 pop rivet. We have two different length flathead rivets. These are about 1/2 inch diameter head, and they are about 5/8 inch long shank, as well as 3/8. Then we have our countersink rivets. They're flathead, small flathead, but you can see they have a bevel on the head. Next to it is another flathead that looks very similar, except it kind of has a square head. It's basically a miniature version of these two. And then we have the little dome rivet right here. So all of these are about the 5/8 length, except for these little shorties. You can use whatever length pop rivet you want. And then here are the replacements that I like to use. So if you have an area, say you're not building a 100% original car, you can get away with these pop rivets. They have about the same diameter head. You can just put them in your regular pop rivet gun. You don't need any special tools. You don't need to drill the hole out any bigger. You can just install these. And then we have our weld studs. These are 1/4-20 weld studs. So you need a 1/4 inch hole instead of a 3/16. But these basically have the same shape as the original style. You can use these in areas where only one side is seen and where you're not able to get access to the back to peen it over. You can also grind the head down a little bit to thin it out to make it more equivalent to the original one. Now, some of the uses for these different rivets, these flat rivets, were used in many different places. We're going to commonly see them down here along the rocker, tying the fiberglass rocker to the steel rocker. There's one here that I still need to remove. They'll be in there. They're also along the perimeter of the door. So all around here, they use these rivets to tie this fiberglass structure to the steel structure back here. You can see there's a whole slew of them in here. You can use either length for those. I like to use the longer one. It gives me a little more meat to peen over. And now these bevel rivets are, from what I've seen, they're typically used back here. This is countersunk a little bit, so you have a nice flush fit in here. And they hold this steel nut plate to the door structure on both coupes and convertibles. On convertibles, it's just a small little piece on a coupe. The coupe structure attaches to this. This little button I've seen on several different cars. Now, different years may have used them in different situations, but I have seen them up here. On this nut plate, you can see that these ones are kind of domed over right here. But I've seen them in this area here holding these two flat rivets. Large diameter heads would have been the whole way across here, except for this nut plate. These can also be used in different areas. It's like these nut plates here. You can see these ones were sanded on a little bit, but you can see the original profile here for the hood latch nut plate. And last, we have the small flathead, which is equivalent to this one on the back of Overkill on the taillight panel that holds the nut plate for the exhaust valance. There's one up here, one down here, for each one of these bolts the whole way across. And that is the only place that I have seen these little guys. Now, these pop rivets here, they did use these on these cars. This is not an inferior way to do things. In areas where it's a boxed channel, like this windshield frame, you can't get a dolly on the backside, they would have used a pop rivet. Anywhere where there's just a blind hole one way access. That's what they did, along with the bonding strip that goes here for the front end. There's a bonding strip that goes down here. You have access from the back, so this will be solid riveted, just like this one is. So now let's talk about what tools you need to install these. The pop rivets, all you need is a pop rivet gun with the right size shank. That's pretty self-explanatory. These, you just need to drill a little bit bigger hole, and you can just put a nut on the back of it. You can put Loctite on it. So the solid aluminum rivets do require some special tooling to peen them over. These are a soft rivet, so they don't take a lot of force to peen over. So what I like to do is just take whatever air hammer you have. This is a short stroke one from Harbor Freight. And I set the air pressure low whenever I run these. I try to set it at about between 30 to 50. You can find with your setup what works best, but less pressure generally is better. It's easier to control. And this only applies to these soft rivets. I'm not talking about any of the chassis rivets that are a different type of aluminum or steel. So to smash the rivets down, I like to use 2 different tips depending on what situation. 9 times out of 10, I am going to this one, which my dad made this one. He cut the tip off of one and he dished it out a little bit, so that way it makes a nice little dome, so it gives you a nice rivet. You can buy these already done like this or not, you can make your own. And then we have a flat one. So typically you put this in your air hammer, and I like to back it up with something hard and heavy, something I can put my hand on. I like to use this dolly. I put this end in here, put this end on the rivet, hit the trigger a few times to tighten it up. You want to make sure you keep good pressure, and even if you don't get it perfectly tight the first time, if you keep pressure on the back side, you can generally smash it over and get it to bite good. Now the general procedure for these is you want the flat head to be on the fiberglass side. That way it spreads the load out, and then you want the side that you smash down to be on the steel side because it doesn't take as much. If you would have smashed it over on the fiberglass, you're just going to smash the fiberglass. It's really not going to bite and it's going to pull out. So you don't want that. So if you do it like that, you're good. The other situation is you may not have good access to this side. Maybe you only have access to this side, which can be true on rockers and other areas. In that case, what I like to do is take the flat pointed punch, put it on here, and then you can back it up from this side, and as long as you stay centered right here, it may deform the head a little bit, but you can lower your pressure to reduce that. You'll squish the rivet still. It won't give you the dome on this side, but it'll kind of give you a little squared end, and that will work as well. And you can use any chunk of steel that you want. You may have to get creative and use a handle or something to jam it in a certain area. It's really not that bad once you get your equipment set up right. So let's get set up. Over here we have some of these rivets to do across the cowl, and then we'll do some of the pop rivets down for the rockers. So if you can see here, we're at 60 PSI. Go back that down. Yeah, right about there. I like to see it at about 30 whenever I'm running it. So it's about 40 when we're off, 30 when we're on. That should be perfect. All right, so let's start off with this little wiper transmission nut plate here. So we're gonna use a rounded head rivets. For these, I'm just gonna put these round head out, have it clamped nice and tight so I can get my holes to line up. For this one, I'm gonna use the rounded tip here, and I'm just gonna put that right on the round head. Just use a regular dolly. I wanna put pressure on the back of the rivet. Put pressure at the front. And that's all it takes. Sometimes if the rivet won't go in, you can push it in with this. Now it's sticking out the back. And that'll smash it in, just like that. Now we'll switch and we'll do these two right here with that. We'll do the flat one because it's hard to get the air hammer back here. So let's put that in place. Push it in with that. Back it up to the back side. And now blast it a little bit. Flatten it. And let's tap it from the back. Gave us a nice soft rivet. Now let's go to the passenger side and I'll show you using the dome side. All right, now let's do the rivet here and over here. Just slip them in from the top. On the top side, we'll back it up with this little dolly. Now we'll take our air hammer from the inside of the car. We can squeeze it. Now we can get that little pressure on the top. And then we've got one more right here. Alright. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of these and turn on Freebird. So I just installed the pop rivets on this side down here. Now there is a bracket that goes here to hold a little piece of steel that covers your wire loom and helps your carpet transition. So I don't know if I have those. So I'm gonna dig those out because we need to put those there before we put the rivet in. But you can see this is not a correct looking rivet. It's got a hole in it. It's very close. I mean, if you very carefully put a little bit of, you know, some kind of filler inside of it or something, you know, you might be able to paint over it and have it appear fairly correct. But I mean, from the underside, it's obviously a pop rivet. And that's okay for these ones. It doesn't matter. This car is a resto mod. It does not really matter what type of rivet we use there. But if you're going NCRS, original restored car, you're gonna wanna use something from this side. So now on coupes, they use these pop rivets on 64-7. Up here for this bonding strip, 63 has a different piece of windshield trim that doesn't use this, but then they have the bonding strips pop riveted that go across here, down here, and over to here, and then across the front of the windshield on coupes. On the back one that goes across here, you have access to both sides of it, and I believe you can see it from in here, yeah. You can see those rivets are the original ones that were peened over back in '67. You have access to either side of it, so they were solid rivets. That's just a quick way to tell, you know, what went where. So there's really no wrong answer. Just make sure that you follow the simple rules of the big wide end of the rivet goes against the fiberglass, the small end goes against the steel. If there's an area where it's steel on steel, it doesn't matter as much. These nut plates here for the body mount, I just used a pop rivet because I really wasn't able to get good access with my air hammer. They probably used a different type of fixture to squish these that I don't really have. So there's tons of nut plates throughout the car. The more you look, the more you'll find. Like down here, you can see there's some more uses. This is either a round rivet or no, this would probably be one that's peened over. It's probably a flathead rivet. And this is the mushroom side. You can see how nice their mushroom is. There's just nut plates everywhere in here because they wouldn't screw things to the steel or to the fiberglass. They wanted steel. So there's tons through here. So just use that little bit of logic, do some research, take pictures before you take your car apart so you know what type to put where. But generally it doesn't really matter. As long as you're using something to fix it in place, that's what's the most important. So hopefully this helps. The tools are pretty simple. I'm sure Eastwood has this stuff. Harbor Freight definitely has the chisels and the air hammer, and then if you sit here and dome one out yourself, you can have yourself a pretty cheap and easy kit. So if I miss some rivets, let me know in the comments. I'm sure somebody will. But these are the ones that I've used, that I've come across. There's another one I think I have in here that's for the, this is for the coupe vent window. This is it. I think this one's for a coupe vent window. So this was a more in-depth tutorial. Hopefully that helps somebody out there that's trying to rivet nut plates on their Corvette. But that's gonna do it for this video. If you enjoyed, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. We have a lot of work going on. We spun the car around because now it's time to focus on the back end. We have some parts coming to finish up the back end of this car. We'll be making some fixtures and getting this thing dialed in. There's gonna be a lot of work to see. So make sure you hit subscribe, hit like. That really helps my channel. Consider supporting it by buying reproduction parts on my website as well as tools. I appreciate all the support, and all the support goes back into all these projects. So I got a lot of work to do, and I'll catch you guys later.